Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. It's Maris.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back. It's Andrew.
We are here with another episode today, and today's episode is going to be all around conversation starters.
Yes.
And really just improving your communication skills, especially in light of when you're first talking to someone or a group of people or meeting someone for the very first time.
Yeah.
We have found that communication is definitely a long game. Like getting really good at communication is definitely a long game. It's not something that necessarily comes easily to everyone, and it certainly did not come easily to me when I first started practicing my communication skills, and I know it's an even newer feat for Andrew.
Yeah, it's definitely something that takes intentional effort.
Yes. So we thought, why not finish out the next couple of weeks until we get into our next month series, and let's kind of make the next 10 episodes or so be digging really deep into improving our communication skills and what that looks like and how we can, better help you with those tangible resources and skills for kind of conquering and tackling all the things in communication, whether that's in your personal life or your professional life. Because definitely, like the art of communication, I feel like those skills can transfer, but there's definitely nuance things. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, totally.
Like when you're dealing like with your friendships or your family conversations and communication versus a brand new lead or a business partner.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So that's what the episode's going to be about. As always, you guys, if you missed the first episode, go check it out. There's going to be links in the description of this YouTube video. We're now on YouTube at Actualize Lifestyle, where you can plug into the different memberships. And our memberships are going to allow you to access the extended videos and the resources that we're going to be referencing on today's episode.
Yes, so definitely check those out.
Yes. So every single episode, we've kind of reframed and redesigned to cover the common obstacles of the topic and the opportunities that will come with kind of quote unquote like conquering the lesson of today's episode, and then the reason why you would want to learn this. Like what is like the overall value add of you kind of digging deeper into this content topic?
Yeah, it's like why you should even care about this and how it's going to benefit you.
Yeah. I'm going to kick it off.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, you have the floor.
This first obstacle that I feel like is such a common obstacle is a big one for me. So I would say the very first obstacle when it comes to, conversation starters or like getting good at communication is social anxiety. Kind of just like the fear of even speaking to somebody for the first time, or I don't know, just social anxiety in general. Like as much as I feel now confident behind the camera or even in front of the camera or interacting with people when I'm wearing my work hat, if I am just in like a super casual setting, social anxiety hits me really hard.
Yeah, that's like you hide it really well though. So you look like an expert communicator from the outside looking in. So how does that social anxiety that you feel, like how does it manifest in conversations?
Yeah, great question. So I don't know why, but like the first thing coming to my mind is thinking about our neighbors. This is so silly. But I just get so nervous if I don't know what it is that we're going to be talking about. Then I just feel like I overthink, well, what do I say? Or how many questions should I ask? Or how many questions should I not ask? I don't know. Do I interrupt the neighbors while they're watering their grass and say hi? Like, it's just so silly, like how much I'll like overthink, like just walking over and saying hi and just having a very casual, like normal interaction. But that really got me like so hung up in the past to where I just wouldn't even
start conversations with people.
I wouldn't even start conversations. And that's the whole point of this episode is like when you have these little obstacles like that, like how can we overcome them in order to not then interact with people at all, right? So I've kind of found social anxiety being a really big obstacle for me is that, or like if I went to a house party or like a small gathering, a wine and cheese night with the girls or something like that, and someone new is there, and it's just kind of like I'm stuck in this little circle of people and not knowing my place or not knowing when to speak up or anything like that. So social anxiety is a really big obstacle for me personally. Do you feel like for you? Am I alone in this?
For me, it's not as much social anxiety. I think my issues with lack of confidence has manifested in my communication obstacles. So it's like a fear that I'm not going to know a lot about the topic and then people are going to kind of reject me in some kind of way. So I think that's where the lack of confidence becomes a hurdle for me in conversation settings. The more comfortable I am around the person, then I think it's less of an issue, where if like we've built that rapport over time. But if it's more of like even a more personal setting, so like non-professional, but it's like a newer person, that's where I'll kind of like feel it crop up a little bit. Sports, for example, I could talk all day about sports, but if we're talking about something in a field where I'm not as comfortable in, I might have a few surface level things to say, but then I think it kind of holds me back from fostering those deeper connections with people sometimes.
Yes, I feel like that too. I feel like when it comes to communicating with people that you've never met before, or you're in an environment you don't really know, like just knowing how to be a conversationalist is something that I've really, really practiced. And I feel like sort of even honed in, like my 3 before me rule. Like that's something that I would teach, and I'd travel around and teach like my social media class, like whether you're online speaking to people or you're in real life speaking to people. I originally thought of it because I was trying to think of like, well, what's like a savvy way of communicating with people when ultimately you're trying to get them to ask questions about you, so then you can share about your business or your services or what you do. Like that was kind of the idea when I first said it. But like even thinking now, it's such a great tool, I would feel like, in these types of scenarios. So like the 3 before me rule was really my way of being like, okay, I'm going to go 3 questions deep with somebody before I talk about myself. So if I'm running into a neighbor, we have lots of neighbors named Dan. So I'm just going to say Dan because we have a next door neighbor named Dan, across the street Dan, all the Dans. So let's say like we run into Dan and I'm like, hey Dan, like how are you? How's your weekend going? You know, and then Dan's like, oh, it's going great. What would Dan say? We went on the boat. Like,
yeah.
You know, something like that. And then I'd be like, oh, that's so cool. But like, did you guys go out on, or did you go with friends, or, you know, whatever. And then Dan would say another response. And then basically I'm asking those 3 follow-up questions, or making sure I ask those 3 questions to where Dan gets like ample time to talk about himself. Then that kind of alleviates my anxiety, I feel like, in the moment, and gives me kind of a focus. And that to me is really great. It gets me out of my own head.
Yeah, which is huge.
I know that's huge for you.
For me, yeah.
Like getting really stuck in your head.
Yeah, because I'm worried about what I'm going to say, how I'm being received, if I have something in my teeth, and that just takes you totally out of just being present.
I'll tell you if you have something in your teeth.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Like it just, present, keeping you present. That's great. So like keeping me present in the conversation, it kind of gives me that next thing where I have to intentionally listen to what it is that they're saying in order to ask a follow-up question. And it kind of makes the other party feel heard, and like I'm respecting their time and listening to them. And then my follow-up questions are usually, you know, short and sweet and to the point. And then it kind of gives me a good rule of thumb to be like, okay, I can only ask 3 questions. I cannot ask Dan like 50 questions about his life, like while he's trying to like, you know, put the trash in the dumpster, like, and because that's where I will go sometimes. I'll just get carried away with like wanting to talk forever and ever. So another obstacle that I feel like people will be able to relate to when it comes to communicating, definitely in the first time, and definitely in a professional setting, is fear of rejection.
Oh, yeah.
So fear of rejection, let's talk about it first in like a personal setting. For me, it's like, you know, is anyone going to like me? Like if I'm at this girls' night, at this wine night, and people ask me what I do, are they going to think that's weird? Are they going to think it's lame? Are we not going to be able to have anything to connect on? And like, I don't want to be rejected, which is why I think I've kind of learned over the years, why it's so different for me when I'm going, and I could speak in front of an audience of hundreds of people and have all the confidence in the world, like genuinely, because I know that those people all bought tickets to come and see me speak.
Yeah.
Because every time I've spoken, it's been specifically my event. So it's like people are coming to hear me talk about the thing that like I'm there to talk about. So I don't have that kind of worry of like, well, am I going to start talking and they're not going to be interested in what I have to say because they got tickets and they showed up and they're there for that. So then I can really like run with it. So it's kind of like being nervous about those like social cues off, you know, like in the beginning of like what it is in a personal setting of like, are these people interested in what I have to say?
Yeah. And you also know an insane amount about that topic when you're speaking on it, like in that setting, when people paid for a ticket or whatever. So it's just they're paying attention to you talking about this thing and you're just like thriving in
that world.
Yeah. And you're in that flow state that we talked about.
So it's kind of like the preparation can bring a lot of confidence. I feel like when it comes to professional settings, like having that sort of like you're saying, like the bandwidth of knowledge, at least, you know, if I know so many things about this topic, or when you're getting on a lead call, for example.
I've definitely experienced that on lead calls too, because I was like so nervous in the beginning, like when we first started working together, and I would have calls with prospective clients because I just felt my knowledge base wasn't there and they were going to judge me or they were going to ask a question. God forbid I wasn't going to have the answer. And then I learned like that's not even, you can find out any answer, but if you just show up confidently and you're there to listen to what their pain points are and then just present how we can best help them.
Yeah.
And then over time, my knowledge of everything that we could do and could possibly do increased my confidence, and I could show up on those conversations differently, and I could tell the leads feeling that from me, like, oh my gosh, this person's gonna guide me exactly to where I need to be.
Yes. So those are some common obstacles, and we'll go deeper into how to overcome those in the extended. Let's cover really fast, before we go over to the extended, what are the opportunities and reasons why people would benefit from practicing conversations, their conversation starters, or being a better conversationalist and communicator? I feel that one of the most important things in my world is being able to build relationships, in like genuine, true relationships where I'm communicating well enough with them, using my 3 before me rule, all that kind of stuff, to where I know our individual like connector points. And so by focusing on like, well, let's find our different connector points to be able to relate to this new friend group or this new professional relationship, that'll kind of ease my social anxiety, all that kind of stuff. And the opportunity that lies underneath that, once you can kind of get rid of those obstacles, is that opportunity for building like true, genuine relationships that go beyond the surface.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, people want to be known for kind of like being like a magnetic personality. Like even in personal settings, those are the kind of people you want to invite to the function or the thing or the sports game. And that's what's going to get you like in those circles of people, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. And that kind of brings me to another opportunity, which would be to expand your network.
Yes. Yeah, I think just through expanding your network and people knowing you as being kind of like a magnetic personality conversationalist, they're just going to be looking for opportunities when they hear of something that you could be connected to. It's just going to open more doors for you.
Yeah, when you're out of your head and you're more into like you were saying, like being present in the moment, then you're able to kind of, find your own opportunities for connecting with people, and then maybe you can network and connect them with other people. So expanding your network, even the personal growth that comes from being a better communicator. When you're able to navigate those conversations with people and go deeper with them, then you could uncover so many different things about them, about yourself, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, fostering those deeper connections, like so many positive things can come from that.
Yeah.
I think so many people are just scared of that, or just kind of live on the surface.
Yeah.
And there's so much good stuff under the surface.
Yes. So now we're going to head over to the extended. In the extended, we're going to talk about some really practical ways that you can master overcoming some of these obstacles and really leaning into the opportunities. And so we have some tangible resources for you. Make sure that you're signed up to the Empower membership, because that's how you'll get access to all the extended videos of every podcast episode. It's only $22.99 a month, and that is just where we have set up this digital universe for you to have endless amounts of value if this is something that you feel like you want to dive deeper into. And then of course we have all the free podcast episodes coming out over the next few days that are just going to hone in more specifically on different communication struggles. We're going to dive into emotional intelligence and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and head over to the extended episode now. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, thanks y'all.